Hi ladies, I'm Pidge.
And I'm Moen.
Welcome to the Night Shift Court podcast. We are two shift-working fantasy book lovers and love nothing more than leaving reality behind for a bookish adventure.
Join us as we go under the mountain to discuss our favourite fantasy fiction tales and the authors behind them.
Come with us to explore the stories, one shift at a time. Hi ladies.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, that was short.
That's it. The book is too big for big intros these days.
Yeah.
Got a lot to get through.
Don't we?
Episode 27, ACOWAR, Chapter 6. So when we left off at Chapter 5, Feyre had faked this nightmare. And, you know, there's a bit of tumultuousness between Lucien and Feyre and Tamlin, because Tamlin's a bit jelly, essentially.
Always has been.
And Feyre is going to keep playing into that because she wants to enrage Tamlin. So there's a set of keys to the estate grounds, which we thought was quite comedic because of the magicness that is this world.
Why would they have something as primitive as keys?
I know, if you please. Do they have key chains and like do they...
I feel like someone's on guard at all times, so it's not like it closes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when are they locking the gates?
Yeah.
And also, a lock isn't going to keep out an army, right? Like,
Or Hermione.
oh, I love Hamora. Yeah, absolutely. It's simple. See, even
even
I'm mortal
Ron can
and
do
I
it.
can do it.
Even Ron can do it.
Even
Ron Weasley. I'm Ron Weasley. There's a set of keys to the estate. Ianthe has explained to Feyre that the land around her temple is dying.
Yes, it's withered. It's
withered.
and died.
Yeah, and that it reeks of the Naga. It needs a bit of weeding and such.
Well, Feyre suggested it may indeed be a case for the gardeners, but Ianthe tries to make a huge deal about it. Like, she tries to come in and talk to Tamlin over breakfast that next morning.
Yeah.
And everyone's hungover AF, so no one wants to hear it, except her, of course. So she comes in and she asks to speak to Tamlin privately, and Feyre's like, well, no, you know, anything that you say to him can be said to me. You know, we're all here to support you and we love you, Ianthe, go ahead. So she does, and she's like, oh, you know, the grass is dead. And Tamlin's like, okay, well, this hardly seems like something worthy to pull me aside for. But it's just such a power play that she can come in and demand his time and he will jump.
Yeah. And ordinarily he would, but Feyre is putting her footsie down now.
Yeah.
So she claims that she believes the Naga are planning to attack, and this is the first step in that plan.
First time we've heard of it, but cool, yeah.
Cool. Ianthe makes a comment about Tamlin returning the wings that belonged to Rhys's mother and sister. That would be like an act of good faith so that they leave them
they
alone.
won't take Feyre. Well, she says something around, you know, you never know when Rhys is going to attempt to snatch her away. So maybe if you give him back the wings, he'll just leave you alone.
Give him what he wants.
Yeah.
So there's that. And Tamlin's like, well, I can't do that. I burned them long ago.
Tamlin announces that he may actually join them this time around, going to have a look at the next hole in the wall. And all I could think of was like, surely that's your only priority. Like, what else is he doing? While Lucien and Feyre are chauffeuring them around to look at the holes in the wall, what is he doing?
Well, he's not repairing studies.
No, he's not. Like, surely your alliance, like, is the most important thing, the impending war. What else you got going on?
But maybe he has a child with Amarantha.
Maybe. Maybe he's a single dad now.
Maybe.
Anyway, so the next day they begin the process of winnowing/walking to the next hole, and they set up camp for the night. Feyre makes note that the twins only pick at the sandwiches that are provided to them, which is interesting because surely you'd be starving after exerting all that effort to winnow and walk.
Yeah. Surely.
Feyre and Lucien share a tent that night, but Lucien is wary about doing so as Tamlin is already sassy enough about his relationship with Feyre, which she is obviously playing on. So she's like, yeah, we're sharing a tent, whereas he is like, no, please stop.
Yeah.
Lucien tells Feyre that what happened when he got back to the manor on the day when she had been taken. Tamlin had trashed her room, the study, his bedroom, and then murdered the sentries that were on duty at the time, and he actually executed them in front of everybody else at the manor.
Yeah.
Which is just
Barbaric.
so far down the path, isn't it?
Yeah. Is he going to be the next evil High Lord?
He is like this red flag, right? The amount of times he's destroyed rooms.
Yeah.
And now he's taken the next step. Like, it's quite brutal to kill your own guards.
He's worse than Bayron.
Isn't he? He's the worst High Lord.
I think so.
The worst High Lord.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
He's taken the crown. Lucian says, I tried. I begged him for mercy. He didn't listen. He couldn't listen. He is a High Lord. He is a different breed. And interestingly, the words couldn't and different breed are both in italics.
You and your italics.
Well, we talked about that
we did.
that day at Highburn. So couldn't listen, not wouldn't, but couldn't.
Yeah.
And different breed.
Yeah.
I just feel like those are significant things, significant words to be put in italics.
Yeah.
And that maybe there's something more going on with Tamlin than we realise.
I think you could be right.
Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Lucian reveals that they're planning to use their alliance with Highburn to their advantage down the track. And Feyre wants to know more about that. And so she questions him, but she actively sees him just lie to her and just launch into a generic spiel about having enemies in every court and how having an alliance with Highburn will mean that they're seen as stronger and more powerful, but she sees it for the lie that it is. Lucian knows something about their plan, about the Spring Court's plan, but won't reveal it to her because remembering Lucian doesn't believe her.
Yeah.
So why would he?
Yeah, he's got his glasses on.
Yeah. And Lucian and Feyre are woken the following morning by Durian saying, get up. And Lucian immediately orders him out.
Yep.
And Durian looks them over and sneers. And that's what Feyre wants. She wants Durian to now. Yeah, the rumours.
The rumours. She
wants it to get back to Tamlin.
Yeah.
That they shared a tent.
Yeah.
And that they had snuggled closer. She'd sought out his body heat through the night.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. She probably has, right? She's mated and it's all innocent. But to somebody else, not innocent.
This the twins and them pushing around food and the whole tent situation is giving Twilight.
Yes.
It is giving Twilight. It is giving vampires that pretending to be school children that are pretending to eat in the cafeteria, and it is giving Bella snuggling up to Jacob in the tent.
Do you remember what Emmett brought for lunch to the cafeteria?
No.
A bag of boiled eggs.
I mean, protein.
Seriously.
He is jacked.
Rewatch the movie. He's this super old vampire that doesn't know what the fuck people eat anymore. So he's like, what am I going to bring to school to fool people into thinking I do eat? So he brings a clear cellophane bag.
When I was a lad, I ate
eggs.
4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large.
And I didn't notice it the first time around until someone pointed it out. And now it's the only thing I can think about.
I'm going to have to watch it. I'm due to watch Twilight anyway.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Back to Agatha. Feyre gets up and washes in the stream. And Branna arrives and joins her and tells her that she too would have picked Beron's son. Autumn Court males have fire in their blood and they fuck like it too.
Oh, language.
Yeah. And honestly, Feyre is suffering just trying not to picture Elaine being subject to said fire. Remembering their mates. How awkward.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure that I ever want to think about that from a personal familial experience.
Perfect. Right, now they begin walking along towards the hole and they stumble across 3 children of the blessed.
Aw, these guys.
Haven't heard from them in a while.
Haven't. And, you know, it's a bit concerning now because they've got a party of people who don't particularly like mortals.
Yeah.
Feyre's trying to shoo them, scare them away because the twins aren't particularly fans and are trying to lure them across to
Eat them.
devour them, essentially. So Feyre actually penetrates their mind.
I feel like you just used that word specifically to make me uncomfortable.
I will use it because it is accurate. So she's trying to scare them so they leave because they're at risk. Jurian thanks her for warning these children so that they can F off, because obviously he knows what happens to humans who come beyond the wall. They're not long for the world when they do, unless there's a very good reason, similar to Feyre being ushered along by a High Lord for a reason, right? Feyre says she doesn't know what happens to humans when they come across the wall, only that they are never to return. Her and Jurian are having this chat. He says basically that he's got like unfinished business. Everything that he did during the war was for Miriam, and Miriam betrayed Jurian. We know it was for good reason. Jurian only sees the spite that was dealt from Miriam and that he got shafted. So he wants to draw her out of hiding and make her regret what she did. Grow up.
Yeah. There's a lot of little bitter men in this series, isn't there?
I'm like, have you not got better things to achieve? Then, okay, this is boring. That this whole storyline reminds me of Brandon Stark. It's the three-eyed raven that at the end of Game of Thrones means fuck all.
Yeah, right.
I know there will be people who disagree with that, but I hate that storyline. Jurian's storyline reminds me of that. It just is pointless. Anyway.
Well, Feyre actually says to him, you get a second shot at life and that's what you wish to do with it. Revenge.
Like, revenge it will kill you from the inside out.
But Jurian actually says to her, isn't that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Touche, Jurian.
Touche indeed. But she's got bigger aspirations, obviously. It's not just about her. She's doing this for mortal fae wellness, mortals in general.
During their little chat, Jurian reveals to Feyre that she has forgotten that Jurian knew Rhysand in the war, so they fought together.
Yeah.
He says that yet everyone insists that Rhysand is soulless, wicked, but the male I knew was the most decent of them all. And he goes on to say, the most powerful High Lord in the world lost his mate and has not yet come to claim her, even when she is defenceless in the woods. Perhaps that's because Rhysand has not lost you at all, but rather unleashed you upon us.
Boom. Yeah. Jurian may be boring, but he ain't stupid.
Yeah, that's right. I think that he's made it very clear that Feyre's acting has not fooled him. I mean, Feyre's acting has not fooled anyone except Tamlin. So,
I know, right? What does that tell us?
Yeah.
Dumb.
I actually think that with Jurian, there's a lot more to uncover about him.
Do you?
As per last episode, I think he is a goodie pretending to be a baddie. And the fact that he would speak about Rhys this way, who is technically their enemy. Do you remember in front of the King of Highburn when they were at Highburn with the cauldron, he acted like Rhys was dirt. And I actually think there's a lot more going on there with Jurian.
I still think he's boring. He might have different loyalties, but I think he's boring.
Yeah, okay.
So Lucian and Feyre, they've shared this tent. They wake to the smell of blood.
Not a good smell.
No. And it's something as women we regularly do.
I can't say I have a good sense of smell.
Oh,
in
I
that
do.
way. Do you?
I do. And I'm very tuned into the smell of blood.
Yeah, Ben. Yeah.
Job things.
Yeah.
I have a very strong sense of smell, and not particularly at the moment because I've got a cold. If you didn't notice, sorry if you can hear me sniff. But yeah, in this context, waking to the smell of blood equals problems.
Bad times. Bad times ahead.
So they get out, they have a look, and they've discovered that the twins have gone and sought out these 3 children of Blessed and annihilated them.
And like they don't even eat them on or anything. They just torture them and pull them apart, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm like, what are they missing? Like, I feel like there's potentially something's missing from them. That's
from the children or from the twins?
Yeah, no, from the children. That perhaps, they have consumed something, but you can't tell what they've consumed, and perhaps that's their diet. Like that's a very niche diet that they're not.
It's interesting because we don't know a lot about these twins other than that they're the nieces and nephews of the King of Highburn, who we assumed was mortal, did we not?
Well, yeah, we assumed.
And so
we don't really know.
And so now he has fae nephews.
Yeah. So what's up with that?
Yeah, so what's up with that? And secondly, we've talked about them picking at their sandwiches and like not really eating. So I can see what you mean around, are they eating these people?
Something.
But at the same time, I'm like, what other fae eats? Are they cannibals? Like what sort of fae are they to do that?
Yeah, it's almost like, are they surviving on hearts? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But
livers.
Ew.
Yuck.
Okay.
So they get back to the estate and Tamlin is ropeable.
Yeah, he's not happy
About it when he discovers what Feyre and Lucien have done and what the message was that they sent to the twins about their behaviour within the Spring Court during their stay. Tamlin tries to send Lucien out of the room after raging at them both, and Feyre stands up for him and says, like, don't you talk to him like that, which is very unlike Feyre to do.
Yeah.
I just think that Feyre can't help herself but be Lucien's friend. She can't help herself.
Yeah.
She can't.
She's tied to him. And I think that probably even more so now, she's a mated fae woman, right? She knows what it means to be mated. And all of a sudden she's spending time with someone who's mated to her younger sister.
Yeah, his family.
That's significant, even if Elaine wants nought to do with that.
So Tamlin's pissed because Lucien and Feyre sent the bog after the royals.
Yeah. The bog.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit before we started recording about how did they do that?
Yeah.
How
Off you go.
How are these fae giving these lesser fae things, keys to the estate?
Yeah, to go on.
How are they doing this?
I know. It's like a doggy. Like, off you go.
Yeah.
Like, here's the scent of the.
Yeah,
like, and
that's
off you-
right.
yeah.
I don't know. I want to figure that out because I would love to take precious things from people and give it to dangerous lesser fae for them to just have to retrieve.
In short, you want to go visit the Weaver.
Yeah.
You do.
I think we would be besties, the Weaver and I.
Yeah, so do I.
I reckon we'd be close friends.
I would not be visiting.
She would not outrank you.
Good. But how would I visit though? I don't have that many like precious things to donate to the cause.
Well, that's okay. You're worthy.
Okay. All right.
So Lucien does leave the room,
Yeah.
but Feyre feels him sitting at the bottom of the staircase listening into their conversation. She knows that there are 6 sentries standing outside in the hallway, and she basically goads Tamlin by saying things like, you hoard us out to Highburn. You might be willing to get on your knees for Highburn, but I certainly am not, which is really scathing, isn't it? Do you think Tamlin is gay? And that's why he's so incredibly offended about that statement.
He's getting on his knees.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
No? Okay. Just a theory.
No.
Regardless, Tamlin absolutely explodes, and so does the study, which by my count, this is the 4th time he has destroyed the study.
Yeah.
And he must be paying his interior designer a shitload.
Yeah. Yeah.
To come back and redo that study for the 5th time.
Yeah.
And she's thinking, oh my God, what's happening there?
Look, the bill at IKEA is heading way up.
Feyre makes no effort to defend herself or put up any sort of shield when Tamlin decides to explode and everything splinters and comes flying at her. She lets herself be hurt by the flying objects that Tamlin dispatches in her direction, and then feigns to be obviously incredibly injured. Lucien bursts back in the room and gently removes Feyre from the situation. The sentries are shocked at Tamlin's behaviour, that he had injured his lady.
Yes.
And also remembering that these sentries were the ones that were left alive after he killed a lot of them who were on duty on the day that Feyre was taken.
Yeah. So they're the
already
leftovers.
Yeah, they're already hating Tamlin.
Yeah, they do.
And now they've injured an innocent woman, seemingly.
Yeah, seemingly.
That night, Feyre and Rhys chat down the bond.
Yeah.
Rhys must have been able to see what has happened. He is mad, but Feyre soothes him by being cheeky as per their MO.
Yeah.
And she sends him an image of her sticking out her tongue at him. And she says that he sends an image back of him sticking out his tongue as well. But like mine, Rhysand's tongue was out, but it was occupied with doing something else. And
Are we not going to talk about that? That's gold. Vulgar gold.
It is vulgar gold, isn't it?
Yeah, I love him. I just think after all they've been through, the fact that they can even have that sort of exchange in this time is like a relationship goals.
Part of my brain went there, and the other part went to the tongue song. What's his name? The guy that won Eurovision.
I don't know what his name is. Did he actually win Eurovision?
I think he either came first or second, like many years ago. But I'm pretty sure it's called the tongue song.
Look, I don't know what the name of the song
We
is, but
sing it
we
all
do
the time.
sing it all the time
At work.
It started at work because I'd never heard it before, and then the guys at work had shown me it on YouTube. And now, whenever somebody fucks up on the phone, or if someone makes a mistake or whatever, if you get your tongue tied on the radio, we will take the piss, and generally it's in the form of that song.
It reminds me of Bogus Cunningham. Were you there for Bogus?
Oh, mate, Louis, if you're listening, which you're not listening, but you will. Someone was. We can't really say that because it's putting someone's name out there.
We can't say the person's real name, but
No.
it was a misunderstanding.
The name was not Bogus Cunningham.
But also, this was probably 3 years ago, and we're still laughing just as hard about it today as we did on the day 3 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
it's the thing. It's that, and it's E for egg that gets me. So the next day, Feyre takes a ride, and she goes with Bronn and Hart. Oh, thanks for that. We really needed the button for that, didn't we?
We don't need the button when we've got my mouth.
Oh, you're sick in the head.
Did you miss me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Feyre's making a point of feigning how injured she is after her incident in the study the night before.
Yeah. No one damsels quite like Feyre.
She is still feeling a persistent headache, and she believes it's a result of using her magic constantly. So she's constantly protecting Tamlin, Lucien, and Ianthe's mind.
Yes.
About this whole situation. Little does she know Ianthe doesn't need it.
So that night, 7 Naga break into the estate. Mm-hmm. Break in.
Yeah.
They're found with the
Open
keys.
That's not a break and enter. Let me be clear.
They've got permission. So they break in with the keys. Their attack was halted thanks to a vision. A vision that Ianthe had.
Oh, the pensive.
So Tamlin plans to whip the guards who fell asleep whilst on duty. Did they fall asleep? Did they?
The ones that didn't raise the alarm for the Naga coming in.
Yes, they're having a nap.
Okay.
So he's going to whip them, apparently, which is, pretty tame considering he executed the other ones for doing nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Yep, fair.
These are the same guard who lost the keys. The guards insist that Ianthe stole his keys. All of that's true. Ianthe set this all up. She wanted to be the one who saved them from the Naga.
Again, making herself sound and try to be important when she's absolutely not.
This is all she's got. So Ianthe says the guard is lying, but Feyre says she's going to hear this guard out.
Yeah.
And Ianthe's like, no need for that. I insist that you don't. The other guards note how dismissive she's being and that they absolutely know that she set the whole attack up, she set the guard up, and she's full of BS. She's playing into Feyre's hands now. So she knows Tamlin's need for control and he doesn't want to look weak, etc. And she's trying to make him ignore and punish the guard anyway, which he, in the end, he does. This pisses all the sentries off. They've had enough at this point. They've killed,
multiple.
They've been killed, they've been hurt, they've been locked up, they've been all the things. And they believe that he's picking Ianthe over them.
Yeah. Well, I think she says you would take the word of a sentry over that of a high priestess.
Yeah.
Essentially saying she's better than them.
Yeah.
And that he
they're
should
the
believe
ones
her.
that have been loyal to him over the years. She's been there for what? A minute in this saga's time frame, right?
Yeah.
This angers the sentries who believe he's picking Ianthe over them despite all they have risked for him over the years, like being sent across the wall to be killed to break the curse. Like Andras. Dear old Andras, may he rest in peace.
After the whipping, Ianthe...
Go again. Oh, after the whipping.
After the whipping. I feel like that's not the right language. After the whipping. After the smacking. The paddling. The butchering. Okay, so afterwards, Ianthe ushers everybody inside for lunch, but Feyre stays. Like everyone's hungry after that, obviously.
Everyone in.
It's like my grandmother. Come on, I've made a stew.
Ooh.
A mutton stew.
Oh. But what is mutton?
It's old lamb. I know that now. Okay. So Feyre doesn't come to lunch.
Oh.
She's not hungry. It didn't really whip up her appetite. But it did whip up.
Would be good.
I feel like if I could say it seriously, like it would be quite funny because like only certain people would pick up on it, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Tamlin whips up an appetite and they all head inside for lunch.
Delicious.
Except for Feyre. She decides to stay back or go back to the barracks with the injured sentry and assist in the healing of him.
That's nice.
And she's escorted back later in the evening by Bronn and Hart.
Ooh.
Which are the two sentries. We've heard a little bit about them over the time. Ianthe convinces Tamlin that he and herself should escort the royals to the Hole the next day, along with Feyre and Lucien. Feyre decides that tomorrow is the best time for her to make her move and to leave. She has quite a lot of information regarding what's going on. She's probably been there for an extended period of time and that mating bond smell has not gone away yet, so she is on limited time. She packs her bag. That night, Alice comes in to brush her hair. Luxury.
No, see, you would think that, but you don't have a daughter.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Can tell you, someone else brushing your hair, very overrated.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Fair. It's like trying to brush my son's teeth and it's like that T-Rex with the tree in its mouth. Do you remember that video I sent you where it's like a... Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, I didn't send it to you. That's why. That night, Alice comes in to brush Feyre's hair, and Alice tells her that she is also leaving tomorrow for the summer court with her two boys. Feyre warns her not to tell anybody at the summer court that she knows her because of the blood ruby. And Alice tells her that regardless of the blood ruby, she will always have a friend in the summer court. And Feyre replies, "And you will always have one in mine. She knew which court I meant and did not look afraid."
Yeah. Alice is off to have hot girl summer.
She is.
Yeah.
Living her best life.
Look, why now? She's put up with a lot and...
Well, I think it's because she knows Feyre's leaving and so it's going to begin the process.
The whole thing.
Because she's never believed Feyre anyway.
Yeah.
So they head off to the hole in the wall and the tents are set up in silence. The sentries are very clearly pissed at Tamlin. They're doing everything they can to avoid talking at him or looking at him.
Yeah.
Feyre asks to share a tent with Ianthe, claiming that she wants to reconnect with her and repair any broken bonds. So she doesn't have to sleep in the tent with Tamlin.
Avoiding doing that at all costs.
Correct. Tamlin then orders Bronn and Hart on the first watch, which is just awful. Like, they've obviously been late helping the injured sentry. They've also then been up that morning and escorted them there, and now they have to do first watch. What have you been doing, Tamlin?
Look, there's not many sentries left at this point.
That's true.
He's killed them all.
That's true.
Whipped them up.
Yeah. Now, Feyre sleeps in the tent that night with Ianthe, and she does something that none of us ever would. And I don't care who you are, if you have read this series, don't tell me you wouldn't, but you absolutely would kill Ianthe.
Oh, fuck yeah.
There's no one. I don't think there's anyone who agrees with Feyre's decision to not kill Ianthe that night.
Yeah. I was pretty perturbed by the not killing part, but there is some vengeance. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But Feyre does keep hold of her knife through the night. She does bring it out from under her pillow in the morning, and Ianthe opens her eyes and is looking very stressed about the knife in Feyre's hand. And Feyre says to her, "You can never be too careful while sharing a camp with enemies." And Ianthe says something to her along the lines of, Highburn aren't our enemy. But I think Ianthe understands that Feyre isn't talking about Highburn.
Yeah, 100%. So the next day they go to the third hole in the wall and Feyre suggests that this is the best one and that's the hole that they should use. She gets the twins to reveal that Highburn has an army of 200,000, including help from Valahan, Montessor and Rask. She asks why they need the cauldron and they say it will wipe the world clean again. They will need to use this exact spot in the wall as the personal object of mighty power passed through it, and the cauldron will sturdy the work they've already done and magnify it until it collapses.
Yeah, okay.
So Feyre notes that they've given her pretty much everything she needs to know at this point. They've given numbers, they've given locations, they've given like the names of the territories. So she's got her pack of supplies. She's ready. She needs to get back home now.
Yeah.
That's her only plan. She has set the spring court up to fall internally. She's the infiltrator who has essentially chucked a grenade and let the grenade fester for a little while until she bounces and it goes off.
Yeah.
So she's not perturbed about really anything else happening because she knows Alice is getting out and everyone else is just collateral damage. Her plan is to go before the others come back. So she has put the idea in the sentry's head that the twins are bashing her, killing her.
Yeah, yeah. And neither Tamlin or Ianthe are doing anything to stop it.
That they're refusing
because
to intervene.
it would affect the alliance with Highburn. Yep.
Yes.
She grabs her pack and takes Tamlin's Illyrian knives, which I found interesting because when did he get those knives?
Yeah.
She starts to sneak away, but she hears Lucian and Ianthe in a clearing in the woods on her way out. She urges herself to keep going, but she just can't let herself leave Lucian. And this is what we talked about before about her loving him even though they've been through so much together.
Despite his crapness.
Yeah. She silently approaches and she sees Lucian bound to a tree with the same bands of blue stone that once held Rhys. So that was when he was in the cave, and Ianthe's like circling him like a vulture and they are speaking about what happened at Calanmai. Feyre is pretty fed up at this point with Ianthe. She decides initially she was just going to leave her be and let her be part of the downfall of the Spring Court, but something in her is triggered by her essentially using Lucian to
taunting him.
Yeah. And she's quite defensive of Lucian. So she enters her mind and sees all of the horrible thoughts and memories of the games of power that she's played over the years. She commands her to take off the shackles and then essentially to kneel and like hulk out on her hand by smashing it with a rock over and over and over again. She makes her smash the same hand that she used to grab Rhys. So do you remember when he showed her a memory and Ianthe reached for him with one of her hands? She used the same hand. Lucian is acting shocked AF at what Feyre's doing because remember Lucian doesn't know that Feyre is Daimarti.
Yes.
So he's looking shocked, but then I'm thinking surely not. Like you knew she was not the same person that came back to you.
Yeah.
So he's, very shocked by what she's doing. But then the royals, the twins, arrive in the clearing. Branna says, starts running her fingers through poor frozen Ianthe's hair. And she says, going somewhere, Feyre? Lucian moves from the tree but doesn't come to Feyre's side. And she notes that he looks hurt when he sees her pack and the stolen knives that he's put two and two together. Both Lucian and Feyre know that the twins won't let either of them leave the clearing alive. And Feyre says to them, take the Spring Court. It's going to fall one way or another.
So the twins reveal to Lucian that Feyre is Daimarti. So he now knows. And they also reveal that they've been plotting essentially the same kind of things alongside Feyre. They sort of lean into their act and they say, you've been noticing any headaches, Feyre? And she's like, well, actually, yes. And she recognises that her mental bond has been a bit muffled and a bit hard, and she just puts it down to the fact that she's been using her magic, quite extensively whilst trying to maintain some sort of decorum and act. So basically what they've done is they gave Ianthe crushed Fabane, and it was ground so fine that Feyre wouldn't notice or taste it in her food. Feyre only had an apple an hour ago, and that was grown in the king's personal garden, which was watered with water laced with Fabane.
Another Snow White reference.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love picking up on these through this story. We've had Snow White before.
We have.
They reveal to Feyre that they actually didn't need to use or to control Ianthe's mind to convince her to use the Fabane against Feyre, that Ianthe did that of her own free will.
Yeah,
which
not
is
hard to believe, is it?
Yeah, you know, but at the same time, it's probably the most, like, she's always sort of flown under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that I think she's made a really active effort to assassinate Feyre.
Yeah.
Not only to bring down her integrity and, you know, all the other things that undermine her that she's done, but to actively try and really control her.
Yeah.
And so I think that probably Feyre wasn't very shocked.
Yeah. The Fabane in the apple is actually enough to knock down Feyre's power for a couple of days. So they're in a spot of bother now.
They've been putting the Fabane into the Spring Court's food. So Ianthe has been giving it to the servants or somehow getting it into all of their food. So she's not only taken out Feyre's power, they've also taken Lucien's power as well.
So before the power gets drained, because the Fabane isn't at full effect yet, Feyre attacks. So she's got some left. So she winnows towards Dagden, and distracting him by using her fire powers on Branna, it gives her time to stab Dagden. Lucien then has time to behead Branna.
That's probably the most brutal thing he's done.
Yeah, well, that we know of anyway. And then when Dagden goes to attack Lucien, naturally, Feyre stabs him in the eye through his skull and kills him.
Again, probably the most brutal thing she's done.
She's just badass.
She is now.
Proves it over and over again. The less she gives a fuck, the more easily these types of things come to her. And she's trained with Cassian, for goodness sake.
The only thing that I could think about during this scene was like poor frozen Ianthe, right? Because Feyre's told her to kneel and wait until someone finds her. So she's kneeling there, like from her knees down are probably dead. You know when you kneel down? For ages?
I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah, exactly. Your legs are dead. Her hands all mangled. And like behind her, she can hear people killing each other.
Yeah.
And she's going, shit.
She's got no
idea. Can't
idea.
do anything. That's actually, it's quite traumatic, but I'm sure she'll get over it. / she deserves it.
Yes. So the apple basically starts taking effect from this point on, and it's dwindling Feyre's powers quickly. Lucien's obviously seen the pack. He knows she's planning to leave and go back to the Night Court, and he says he's going with her because she won't make it on her own, and he wants to get his mate back. Now, I have a problem with this because I'm a strong, independent woman, and Elaine never belonged to Lucien, nor does any woman belong to any man. And what do you mean, get your mate back? She don't want you. She don't know you. Yes, they're mated and I get it. It's primal and all the things. But no, sorry.
I think what bothers me is that he's not going with Feyre because what Tamlin has done is wrong. He's not going with Feyre because what he believes about Tamlin is right, as in like he doesn't agree with the decisions that Tamlin's been making pretty much since Feyre has arrived.
Yeah.
Didn't agree with the things that Tamlin was doing under the mountain, didn't agree with them when she got back to the Spring Court, didn't agree with how he dealt with when she left for the Night Court, nor how she has returned. So what annoys me is that he's not going with her because it's the right thing to do. He's going with her because he wants his mate.
Yeah, and because Feyre's weak.
Yeah. Like, and that's what bothers me. I'm like, well, no, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I do think that Lucien going with Feyre is a huge moment, as regardless whether he agrees or not, he has always followed Tamlin's orders. This is the first time that he's outright defied him and essentially abandoned and left him to his crumbling court. He's always stood by him regardless of whether he agrees on or not up until this point in time. The alliance is essentially dead now that the twins have been murdered because surely Highburn isn't going to forgive the Spring Court after they've killed his niece and nephew who happen to be super powerful Daimati.
Yeah.
Surely that's a huge blow to Highburn. The spring court is extremely weak, and surely that's over and finished with, right?
Yeah.
So Lucian and Feyre winnow away until their powers go out completely. Feyre's planning on heading for the caves. So the caves are, do you remember how Feyre entered under the mountain via the caves?
Yes.
Those same caves each have a door that leads to each of the different courts. Every court except the night court.
Of course.
Yeah. So Feyre plans to head to the closest court to the night court, come out and traverse that court to get back to the night court.
Sure.
However, Lucian tells her that all of those doors were actually sealed after Amarantha. Do you remember when they left and they let it all come crumbling down, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So that the best way to go is actually into the summer court. But Feyre tells Lucian that she can't go to the summer court because of the blood ruby. And he's all like, oh my God, what have you been
what
doing?
did you do? Yeah.
Give me the tea.
Yeah. Surreal.
Yeah. And Lucian suggests that they go through the autumn court, which is through a portal, which is close by. They get close to the cave portal and they don't find any guards on that side. Feyre had actually been into their mines beforehand, so days beforehand, and made sure that this portal in particular was going to be unguarded. She said that Cassian had always taught her to have a backup plan. So whilst Lucian thinks that he needs her and, silly Feyre would have just gone to the doors under the mountain, which would have been sealed and then she would have been stuck, little does he know that Feyre has already put many, many plans into place from Cassian's training. And she doesn't, in fact, need Lucian really at all, because if she got to the doors and they were sealed, she would have still had this option. Feyre's about to walk through the portal and she turns to Lucian and she says, "Stay if you want, what's done is done." And Lucian says, "You are right. The girl I knew did die under the mountain." That's it for this episode of the Night Shift Court podcast. Join us again next week where we will continue the adventure of ACOWAR's Book 3, A Court of Wings and Ruin.
Whichever platform you're listening on, we would so appreciate a 5-star review. You can follow us at The Night Shift Court on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook.
I hope the night is kind.